All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining today's vBrownBag at the Indy vMug SuperCon. My name is Nick Fritsch. I'm a technical marketing manager within our global services organization at VMware. And today I'm going to be talking about VMware Skyline. VMware Skyline is the technology that allows us to deliver proactive support to our customers. So we're transforming what's normally been a very, from a support perspective, very reactive from the delivery of VMware. We're now flipping that on its head, reimagining support and delivering proactive support to our customers. So the first thing I want to do is play a little game of Never Have I Ever. So a very common game most have played. Never have I ever had to upload a support bundle. Most customers have had to upload a support bundle. But the reason is we need to capture information at a point in time that the issue occurred. Very reactive nature, something happened. This is a way that GSS goes about troubleshooting the issue and helping our customer. Never have I ever had to provide the same information to GSS more than once in a short amount of time. So call into support today. I have an issue with a particular ESXi host. You work with a technical support engineer. They assist you with troubleshooting it, and part of that process is I need your vCenter server version and build, ESXi host version and build. Is it connected to vSAN? Is it vSAN all flash? Is it hybrid? So those sort of details. You have the same issue next week and you talk to a different technical support engineer. Usually you have to provide the same information a second time. Not a great experience, but needed from the perspective of it's a point in time issue. What happens if we took the information that you provided last week and we used it again this week? What if you did an upgrade or you made a configuration change, so therefore we have information that's invalid? So again, there's good reason why that information is collected continuously over different support requests. And the reason being it's a point in time, we don't understand what's going on between that last support request and the next support request, but that's what we're trying to fix with Skyline. Last question. Never have I ever been provided a KB as the resolution for a problem. This is kind of standard procedure for VMware. Our library of knowledge is there's an issue, and the way we document that issue is we write a knowledge base article that has the issue, potential impact, and the recommendation or the workaround. And this strictly is why do we provide KBs as a resolution to a problem? We're unaware of those environment details, so instead of us providing that information to you proactively, we can't do that because we don't know your environment details, your vCenter server, ESXi version and build numbers, all that information that's needed to provide you relevant information. We don't have that, unfortunately. So that's why in some instances, you're calling the VMware, have an issue, they'll say, yes, we already have a documented fix for that. Here's the knowledge base article, go fix it. However, from your perspective, that experience is not a great experience. I've already had downtime, an outage. It took me away from doing something that I was doing for the business to go fight a fire or fix something. For you to only turn around and tell me that, just go follow this KB. Again, we're trying to improve that customer support experience. So what if, based upon your environment details, VMware can notify you of potential risk within your environment? That includes our recommendation for the resolution, usually in the form of a knowledge base article. Instead of downtime and outages, you perform the work during scheduled maintenance windows. Best case scenario for all of us. You spend time helping the business move forward. GSS has the information that it needs to assist you with troubleshooting without having to continue ask for it. And then VMware can help align you with what we're building from a VMware validated design perspective, proven configurations. If we can then provide that information back to you and help you align with proven configuration from our perspective. So that's what we're doing with VMware Skyline, is delivering proactive support back to our customers. So big picture, from a proactive support perspective, issue avoidance. So proactively identify those possible issues in your environment that are very personalized. Provide those to you we found this potential issue, say it's a purple screen of death, you could be susceptible to. We found it on these 30 ESXi hosts, and here's how you go fix it, and that fix is provided within a knowledge base article. So very prescriptive, easy to follow. The idea there, obviously, is being resolve those issues before they occur. So instead of you calling us, saying you have an issue, you need help troubleshooting, we give you the information ahead of time based upon your environment details so that you can proactively fix the issue. On the flip side of that, unfortunately, issues are going to continue to occur, support requests are going to be needed. There's no way of not avoiding that in the future, unfortunately. So from the reactive perspective, we can do faster time to resolution. So getting past that data collection that's needed, what's your vCenter server and version build number, what's your ESXi, is it a vSAN cluster, all that information we have to continuously collect. we can now have that. We better enable our technical support engineers to help our customers. So now they have all that information available. Customer calls in, Acme Corporation, says, I have an issue with my vSAN cluster. Okay, let me pull up your customer profile here. Oh, I see you're running vSAN 6.6 on top of vSphere 6.5. I see the version and build numbers here. I see the NIC and firmware driver versions. How can I help you? What's the problem that you're having? So we immediately get to what's the problem, how can we fix it, without having to go through that kind of an initial data collection process. As I mentioned, it's very personalized. What that means is when we're providing these proactive findings and recommendations back to our customers, we call out, again, I'll use the purple screen of death example. You could have a purple screen of death, okay? Here's what you need to do to fix it. And here's the 35 ESXi hosts that have this potential purple screen of death. So it's very personalized. You can very easily see, I need to now, whether it's through Update Manager or scripting or whatever tool you want to use to perform updates. You have that now list of 35. We provide that within a separate file outside of the operational summary report so that you can now very personalize, take that information, put it into whatever your operational management control is, and resolve the issue potentially before it impacts your environment. And for some reason, customers like the sound of it's no additional cost. So common question, how much does it cost? How much extra is it? So it is no additional cost. It's baked into your existing support and subscription contract. So whether you're production support or Premier Services, there's a cost to that as part of your support and subscription. It now becomes a part of that. So additional value based upon what you already purchased from VMware. So now you receive proactive support in addition to the reactive support. How does it work? So at a high level, as I mentioned, VMware Skyline is the underlying technology. What we're delivering to our customers is proactive support. So moving from left to right, beginning to end, getting to where we're delivering proactive support. First, there's a data collection process. That's how we have the information we need to both help you from a reactive perspective, but deliver those proactive findings and recommendations. So we do require a Skyline collector. It's a virtual appliance, very small, 2 CPU, 8 gigs of RAM, sub 100 gig disk, flat disk, so it never grows. Install that within your environment. Connect it to vCenter Server or NSX Manager. NSX Manager is not required to take advantage of proactive support. Only need one vCenter Server to get started. Connect it using your My VMware account. That just tells us who you are from a customer perspective and tells us whether you're production support or Premier Services. And then we start collecting data. And just to touch upon the Skyline collector that connecting the vCenter Server and NSX Manager, we only need read-only accounts. So there's no risk of, if you set it up based upon recommendations, no risk of that account going in and changing something or performing a vMotion. It won't have that level of rights. As I mentioned, so then we get the collector configured in your environment. We start listening. So we start pulling back customer information. That's what we need to deliver proactive support. Start pulling that back. We do all the analysis on our end. So we're capturing things like patterns, events, trends, configuration, design compliance. Eventually we'll help answer that question, what changed? When you call in with an issue, it was working yesterday and now it's not working and we didn't do anything. So we can help answer that question, what changed that possibly caused the issue. We perform that analysis against our rules engine, so we're building rules into Skyline on a daily basis using what we call our library of knowledge, knowledge-based articles, docs, white papers, all that information that we have available to us. We want to give that back to our customer in a very prescriptive way. We do that analysis, and then obviously we act upon it by delivering you those proactive findings and recommendations through an operational summary report. And then for our Premier Services customers, they have that relationship with their support account manager and engineer, and that's just more information for them that they can then help their customers on a one-to-one basis. So this is just a few customer quotes. So Johns Hopkins Medicine, using Skyline today, gives you some scope and scale of the Skyline deployment, 11,000 VMs across 1,000 hosts. And they used it particularly for Spectre and Meltdown. We have 3 rules for Spectre and Meltdown, one for the vCenter Server, one for the ESXi hosts, and one for the virtual machines. So of those rules, they're utilizing that information. Again, we're very prescriptive, so we were able to figure out which vCenter servers could possibly be impacted, which hosts and which virtual machines. They use that to basically collect this information and figure out where they needed to perform the remediation. So this is just another tool in their tool belt that's helping them with their overall data center security. And then Match.com, they basically helped pioneer online dating industry. Again, gives you some scale of 1,500 VMs within their environment that they're receiving proactive support on. And basically, we found from a Skyline perspective some versioning inconsistencies in their environment that they were not aware of. We identified that with Skyline, and then obviously worked with them to help remediate and bring the versioning to a more consistent version platform. Again, helps with troubleshooting and whatnot. So just another example of a customer that's utilizing Skyline for, one for Spectre Meltdown, for CPU vulnerabilities, and in this instance, some identifying things in their environment that they weren't aware of. So this is what an operational summary report looks like. Basically, it's 3 sections. On the left, there's a deployment summary. So this is just a very high level, the vCenter servers or NSX managers connected, their version and build number, data centers connected to high-level inventory details. In the middle there is a recommendation summary. So we get a little bit deeper here. We pinpoint critical, moderate, and trivial issues. This kind of gives you just a starting point. If you had multiple vCenter servers connected to it, you could figure out where the highest level of impact is within your environment based upon criticality or number of alerts. So that gives you kind of a starting point of, where do I get started with a remediation perspective. And then on the right is an actual individual finding or recommendation. I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but this one here we're pointing out that there's ESXi 6.0 hosts within the environment that could experience the purple screen of death. Doesn't mean they will. On the right there, the number of findings. So we found, for one vCenter, we found 8 hosts, and then the 2 other vCenters, we found 4 in each of those. So a total of 16 hosts that could have a purple screen of death. And then there, we always provide a recommendation, to resolve this particular issue, upgrade to 6.0, update 2A, and then we always associate the knowledge base article with it. So if we think about proactive support, moving from the top or the left there down to the bottom, the product usage data is, including configuration, feature usage data, performance data is collected, sent to VMware for analysis. We create those proactive findings and recommendations based upon the analysis of your environment, very specific to your environment. GSS proactively notifies you and provides you recommendations. So eventually, not yet today, we'll get to the point instead of you calling us, we'll call you. That would be the best case scenario. Down the road as Skyline matures and we work more with our customers, we're now notifying our customers, hey, we found this based upon our customer information, Skyline information. About 5 customers a day are experience this issue. You have the same environment characteristics as these customers are having. Here's what you do to fix it. So again, trying to get ahead of those issues before they happen to you. And then really back to the issues avoided. Your environment remains healthy. We avoid the issue altogether. You fix things during maintenance windows as opposed to during the day when you should be, you're working on other things to help move the business forward. So again, benefits here, high level, and there's both. So from a reactive break fix perspective, again, reduce that time to resolution for service requests, environment-specific data-driven analytics, as well as accelerated identification of bugs. So we now, for instance, common example, you call in and tell us you have an issue. We say, yeah, it's a bug. We're working on it, but we don't have a resolution today. We may have a workaround, we may not, but now we can include that within the Skyline report. And then we notify you of, hey, now we have a resolution. Instead of us, you waiting on us, we notify you, we have now a resolution. Here's the knowledge base article. You can go fix it yourself. So again, helps with that kind of communication back and forth, is we know what's happening in your environment. We can take that and inject it into the information we're providing back to you. And then big picture, proactive going forward is, avoiding those issues. Main objective of Skyline, avoid them, fix the issues in advance. And from a business perspective, improve that environment stability and reliability, mitigate risk, identify the risk, mitigate it, and really shift the IT focus from those constantly fighting fires back to helping your business move forward, providing more IT value back to the business. Important to note here, a common question is data privacy and security. So not to be overlooked, and obviously we don't take that lightly at all. So here's just some examples of what we collect, how things are transferred from VMware back to, or from the customer back to VMware. So again, we automatically collect most, but not all data collected in product log. So important thing here is we don't collect support bundles. That's a very common question, is do I have to upload support bundles still when I have an issue? The answer today is yes, you still need to upload support bundles if requested by VMware GSS, but we do very low-level log scraping. We do use, so from that connection from vCenter or NSX Manager back to the Skyline collector, so all internal to your environment, everything's done over HTTPS or SSH. And then that data going from the Skyline collector within your environment back to VMware, it is encrypted in transit using TLS 1.2. So the collector wraps it up, encrypts it, sends it out over the interwebs. Once it gets back to us, we decrypt it, and then we start to do our data analysis on it. Some examples of what we collect, and just good information. So anything kind of, if you're looking inside of vCenter, there's a lot of information in there. The type of hardware vendor you're using, those NICs and driver versions, anything that you can find within vCenter, we can collect it. However, I'll call it, we only collect the things we need to provide proactive support. We're not collecting everything. We're just collecting what we need to provide value and proactive findings and recommendations back to our customer. VM names, sizing, and configurations, as well as those IPs and host names, we do collect those today. And the reason we do collect those from the perspective of proactive support, if we need to tell you that you could be susceptible to an issue and it's on these 30 hosts, there's very little value in telling you it's ESXi hosts 1 through 30 without you knowing what those ESXi hosts are. So we have to be able to call out, it's these 30 hosts with your naming convention or your IP addresses, however those see fit, and that way you can take action on proactively remediating those. So again, common question, we do collect those today, and obviously all this could change in the future based upon customer feedback and how we can help deliver better experience back to our customers. Some examples of what we don't collect. So in-guest workload details. So for instance, if that VM's a SQL server and that SQL server is doing some sort of database transaction processing, we don't know what those are. We're not looking inside a SQL server. We don't need that information to provide proactive support, so therefore we don't collect it. So we're not looking at that inside that guest, those workload details that are going on. We don't need it, so therefore we don't collect it. Access control list or distributed firewall rules. Again, that's very, from a security perspective, very important to your environment to provide security both internal to your environment as well as external to the world. Again, unless we don't need those to provide proactive support, so we don't collect those today. And then as I already mentioned, low-level log details found within VMware product logs, we don't collect those. And again, as mentioned, and again, important to note, we do not collect support bundles today. And then we have the policy that kind of overarches all of our data collection is the Customer Experience Improvement Program. You're probably very familiar with it if you've ever installed vCenter Server or any of our other solutions with regards to opting in or opting out. So that's the FAQ, and again, that overarching policy also covers the data collected with Skyline. Just again, this high-level installation configuration at a very high level. Deploy the collector. We send an email invitation to customers that has the download link. Deploy that Skyline collector. Accept that privacy agreement. So as part of the Skyline collector installation, you opt into the CEIP advanced data collection. So again, that overarching policy. You link your MyVMware account. Again, that tells us who you are and what level of support you are. Add endpoints. Again, today we support vSphere and NSX. For vSphere, it's 5.5 and above, so a supported version of vSphere. And NSX Manager 6.1 and above. And then after that, the collector's registered. We are now collecting data that we need to provide proactive support, and you'll get your first operational summary report in about 2 to 3 weeks. And then after that, it'll be a little bit quicker. It's just that initial data collection we need about 2 to 3 weeks. Important to note here, so as I mentioned, Skyline is no additional cost included in your current support contract. However, it will be tiered based upon your level of support. So most of our customers are production support customers. So they're going to get those proactive findings and recommendations. We also have a Skyline Community. So that's a community inside of the VMTN, if you're familiar with that. It is actually moderated by a group of technical support engineers, so questions don't go to die there. They are actually answered. So that's for production support customers, that is the place for them to go to ask about proactive support. That's a public community, so you can check that out today. As well as what we call And we're still trying to work on some language here, but really self-service, break-fix, knowledge-based articles, security vulnerabilities, as well as future products. So like I said, vSphere and NSX today, but our goal is to support all VMware solutions in the future. Then our Premier Services customers, so if you're not familiar with those, that's business critical support, mission critical support, healthcare critical support, and missing from this is carrier grade support. So those are customers that have purchased an enhanced level of support, and obviously there's additional benefits to that that they receive beyond just the proactive support services. But really at a high level, they're going to get everything that Skyline has to offer, as well as future capabilities that we're working on. So we are actually working on refining this and providing a little bit more detail back to customers who are trying to make the decision who are looking at Premier Services possibly for other reasons beyond just proactive support, and helping them make the best decision of, is production support right for me, or do I need Premier Services? So these are, in my opinion, the 3 best resources for getting started, and we've created some Go links here. So vmware.com/go/Skyline, that'll take you to our Skyline landing page on vmware.com. Easiest place to get started. We do have a frequently asked questions, so all the questions that I can't answer within the session today, we are posting them within a knowledge base article, so we can update that kind of on the fly as needed. Again, there's the knowledge base article ID 55928, so kb.vmware.com, or again another Go link there, vmware.com Go Skyline FAQ. And then that Skyline Community, obviously you can browse the VMTN, and we actually have a Skyline button there in the top right. Or again, use a common Go link there, vmware.com, the slash shouldn't be there, but with Go, Skyline, and then Community. So 3 of the best resources there if you want to learn more about Skyline, as well as get some of your common questions answered. So if you're, say, interested today, really the question is, how do I get started? So if you're a Premier Services customer, best way is to talk to your support account manager or engineer. They can help you on board with Skyline, get it installed, go through the process. If you're a production support customer, we are still in a managed access phase, and what that means is we're sending invitations to customers as opposed to letting them freely sign up. Again, we're still a relatively new solution, but we're growing quickly, and we want to make sure both VMware is successful as well as our customers, more importantly. So we're scaling slowly to make sure we're meeting the demand of our customers. The way you show interest is sign up for the Managed Access Program. All that is a form that says, hey, I'm interested in proactive support from VMware. I want more information and possibly want to adopt it. Sign up there. Again, we're using a Go link there to try to make it as easy as possible for you. You fill out that form. We get that information that says, hey, this customer's interested. At that point, we will send you an email invitation in about 1 to 2 weeks once you've signed up for the Managed Access Program. And then within that email invitation, you'll get everything you need to get started. So the link to download it, installation guides, additional information that you would need to get started with Skyline will all be within that email invitation. And that is all I had. And I think my timing was perfect. So I will take any questions now that you have with regards to Skyline.
So I came in a bit late, so sorry if you already addressed this before I came in. When did the platform or product GA?
So we're not technically Okay, fantastic. So the question is, when did Skyline become GA was the question, just so generally available. So Skyline today is still not generally available. All of our Premier Services customers are invited across the globe, so they can now adopt Skyline. We are inviting America's production support customers in phases through those email invitations, and that's why we have the managed access program, which I'll go back to. So again, we'll continue to scale the service, bring more customers on board, and we're just kind of walking slowly to make sure we're meeting current demand of our customers. But we started inviting Premier. We announced it last year at VMworld, and started inviting Premier Services customers shortly afterwards. And we started inviting production support customers in March, is when we launched the pilot and early access programs for our production support customers.
Is there a planned time frame, or is it just when it's ready, it'll be generally available?
So the question is there a planned time frame for allowing production support customers to adopt freely? So we are working on that from the perspective of, I can't say for sure yet. I'll just say stay tuned. We are looking for ways to make it easier for customers to adopt. So we're looking at the process that we use today, with regards to getting customers on board, improving that process so we can bring more customers on board, was still kind of limiting from the perspective of, if you think about our customer base and tens of hundreds of thousands of customers, let's just say they all decided to sign up all on the same day. That would be very difficult for VMware for any company to manage in any instance. So again, we want to ensure success for both our customers, more importantly, as well as what we're delivering. So that's why it's in a phased approach. But stay tuned. We'll have more details with regards to allowing customers to adopt more freely outside of the Managed Access Program.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
What does the security hardening and compliance that the Premier support gets versus the production? Because I noticed those two boxes.
Yes. So let me go back to that. So the question is the difference between the security plans and hardening that's going to be incorporated within Skyline for Premier versus production. So we're still kind of on the cusp of that, so creating those rules within Skyline. If you think about it from a hardening perspective, we produce a vSphere hardening guide today. Mike Foley helps put together. So if we can take that information and then roll it into a Skyline rule and then provide back to you, here are the areas where you're hardened or new rules that we're creating, they will get those versus our production support customers won't today. Again, this could all change based upon customer feedback. But from a vulnerability perspective, Spectre and Meltdown are perfect examples of those are CPU vulnerabilities that impact vSphere environments. All our customers will get that, production and Premier. But when we go more into the, for a customer that's trying to be meet PCI requirements, so those would fall underneath the compliance field, we can provide rules back to them to help them figure out where they're compliant, where they're not. Those are the type of things that we'll incorporate for Premier services. All right. Well, thank you all for your time, as well as those online. Appreciate it. And if you have any questions, again, reach out to our resources. Find myself on Twitter at Fritsch, or we have a new Twitter handle at VMware CSE, stands for Customer Support Experience. You'll find all things there, not only about Skyline, but the other things we're doing within communities, knowledge and search, My VMware, to just help reimagine and transform that customer support experience. Thank you.